Emily. I'm sure by now many of you guys have seen the video I made earlier in the week where I was exposing Emily's toxic second marriage, and there are some very telling receipts where Emily was sending her husband and telling her husband how much she hated his kids. She said she was willing to go to prison for life and she never had to see his kids ever again. And it was just very concerning reading some of the messages. Well, she ended up responding to my video and she said, "Thank you again for bringing light to my postpartum depression and DV situations. I've been writing and openly talking about it for years. Please check it out if you ever need someone so you don't feel alone." And she said that she started this blog as a way to help people and, like she said, make them feel less alone and try to help them with their healing journey. And she does write her blog pretty good. Like, she'd be the type of person that could probably get away with writing a book. It seemed pretty well written, and she does talk about a lot of things. She talks about her first marriage, her second marriage, her struggles with postpartum, her pregnancy, and how she considered not having her son. She had her mind made up that she was going to either do adoption or abortion, but she ended up changing her mind, and she has struggled with mental illness. There's been a lot of things that have happened, and we're going to get into some of her blog posts. Emily did admit in one of her blogs that yes, she told her husband that she wasn't happy with him having kids. She said when she first got with him, it wasn't an issue, but he just made her pretty much hate him so much that she started making issues of things that weren't issues at the beginning. And she said that she was just telling him these things not because she felt that way, but because she wanted to do whatever she could to hurt him. And she said she didn't really have a lot of dirt on him at the time, so she would just do whatever she could that really struck him in his sore spot. So that's what she blamed it on. And it kind of sounds like in her blog she blamed some of her behaviors on mental illness. And then she made a post on Instagram and she's like, "I hope if anybody's defending my second husband that they're the first one to bond him out when he goes to jail." So she currently has a restraining order on him, and just a quick Google search on him, here's some articles on him. He's been arrested so many times for threatening wives, threatening girlfriends, threatening his baby mamas. And Emily has a restraining order on him. Multiple other baby mamas have had restraining orders on him at one point. We're going to get more into his criminal history. And so it definitely looks like this dude is a freaking piece of work. That's for sure. But also, that doesn't... I get Emily's trying to hurt the man, but that doesn't also make it okay to bring the kids into the whole mix as a way to hurt him. Because those are just some innocent kids. Just because you admitted that you did something wrong, that's just the first step in accountability. That's not crossing the finish line. Just because, say you set a house on fire and then you call the news and you admit, "Oh yeah, it was me who set the house on fire." Well, that doesn't take away from what you did. You're still an arsonist. So spilling your own tea, it's not going to make what you said any less disturbing. Then you always have to question someone's intentions. Is this genuine, or is this just you admitting to something horrific just so no one else can expose you, so you can try to control the narrative and you're just trying to do damage control? That could be another way to look at it. So let's look at Emily's, kind of read part of her blog. So this is from August of 2022, where she admits to some of her mental illness. She said, "Crazy, insane, and psychotic are some of the names people who suffer from mental illnesses are called." I'm not going to read her whole blog word for word. I'm just going to kind of mention key points that I see. She said the countless times, so she claims she has been bullied so many times for going to the loony bin. She said that she has been hospitalized in mental institutions over 5 times in her life. And I actually watched an interview that she did, and she revealed that when she was in 5th grade, she lost her virginity and she started wilding out, and her mom decided to send her to a mental institution for 6 months when she was only in 5th grade. And Emily actually revealed, when she was in high school, there was only, I think she said 50 or 60 people in her graduating class. So her town and her school was so small, so everybody knew everybody and knew everybody's business. And Emily said she was kind of known as the town whore. So when she was in high school, she never dated or anything because people always looked at her as a loosey goosey. She said her mom was never there for her emotionally as a child, and she never really told her she loved her, and she just did what she could to buy her love. Like, she wasn't there for emotionally, but she always gave her money. And like when she was only 14 years old, she bought Emily a brand new car, and Emily never knew her father. So when she met men in her life, she really clung on to them really fast, because I think she was just like craving that masculine energy, especially after she gave birth to her son. It seemed like she was trying to do whatever she could to have like that picture perfect family that she didn't have, and have that father role in her life that she never experienced. But unfortunately, every guy she tried to make that happen with, they just were way too toxic and they were not the right fit. So she goes on to say in her blog that in 5th grade, she started having a lot of anxiety. It hit her full force. Eventually, she started having like really bad panic attacks to the point like she would black out and pass out. So she was informed by her principal that her mother thought it would be a good idea to send her to a mental hospital. I do have to make a quick correction. I originally said she went to the mental hospital for 6 months in the 5th grade. That's not when it happened. I guess in the 5th grade she did go to the mental hospital, but it was just a brief stay. But when she was in, when she was in between 6th and 7th grade, she went to the mental hospital a few more times. And then when she was 13, she was SA'd by this man who was 20 years old. And she said the day that this happened was the same day that she got her first criminal charge at only 13 years old. So she was with this guy, and she got caught up with this man who was stealing a vehicle, and he was driving it without a license, and he wrecked the car. And this led to Emily being sent away to a mental hospital for 6 months. And she said when she got to the mental hospital, the people there, like the nurses and the counselors, were always telling her it was her fault. Emily claims that the nurses at the mental clinic were trying to convince her that she needed to stay in the mental clinic until she was adult, because they didn't feel confident that she would be able to be out there and be like a good member of society and be able to follow the rules, and they just felt like she needed constant supervision. So I looked into her second husband, and he has quite the record. He was arrested in 2019 for terroristic threats. Then he was arrested in 2019 for simple assault, a statement under penalty, and then he was arrested in 2019 for disorderly conduct, engaging in fighting. And then he had another charge, which was a disorderly conduct, engaging in fighting, harassment, following in public place. This was from 2022, around the time that he was married to Emily at the time. And then he had a charge from back in 2022. He had an assault charge. He had a terroristic threats with intent to terrorize. This was from 2021. He was arrested for stalking, repeatedly committing acts to cause fear in December 2022. And it also shows a disorderly conduct, engaging in fighting charge from that same exact day. He was also hit with a harassment following in public place and harassment course of conduct with no legitimate purpose. And then he was also hit with operating a vehicle without valid inspection and stalking. And then in June of 2022, he was hit with a stalking charge. Then just this year, he's still getting in trouble. As of last year, in July of 2025, he got an assault charge and a disorderly conduct charge. And he was hit with a harassment charge in July of 2025. And then he had a harassment charge from back in 2019 as well. So he definitely has a very lengthy criminal record. Here is one article I found about him. So back in 2022, he was facing charges after he threatened to unalive his wife at a local gym. And this was posted 4 years ago in 2022. So I'm very curious if the wife is Emily. I'm assuming it is, because they're married back then. So it says he threatened to unalive his wife at a local gym the day after emergency protection order expired. So Kevin was 30 years old. He showed up to an Anytime Fitness in the afternoon where his wife was working out. His wife told police that she had an emergency protective order, but it just expired the day before, and she was about to go to an appointment to petition for a new one. So he pulled into the parking lot, he got into the car with his wife, and then he told her that if the police got involved again, that he would show her how quickly he could sorry, my words are getting jumbled. He told her that if she called the police again, that he would show her how quickly he could unalive her. So the police cleared the scene and they called back to the gym 2 hours later, and he was banging on the door looking for his wife, and when the officers arrived, they found both of them inside the gym. So the guy claimed that Emily called him the day before wanting to work things out, and he claims that's why he showed up. But she told the police that he calmly told her that he'd unalive her and that their child wouldn't have a mother. Okay, so I think it was Emily, because his son, he was trying to play father to her son and tried adopting him, so he called her child his child. Fortunately, the adoption didn't work out because they didn't end up working out. In 2019, Emily's ex-husband was involved in a 5-hour-long police standoff after he kicked in his girlfriend and baby mama's door. He showed off a gun and threatened to unalive himself. So court documents show that he ended up pleading guilty to those charges, and he was sentenced to 6 to 12 months in jail and spent another 6 months on probation. So after this whole incident after the gym, Emily's husband was taken into custody, and he was facing stalking, disorderly conduct, and harassment charges, and he was placed in the Clearfield County Prison on a $50,000 bail. So yeah, guys, I was going to go more into her first and second marriage in this video, but this video is already getting long enough, so I will save that for my next video, so stay tuned to that. But let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below, and what Emily had to say about everything.